Hello students, I am Shivaji Sinha, assistant professor in Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, JSS Academy of Technical Education, Noida. Here to give an introduction about the basics of signal and system in the course Communication Engineering KEC 401. So, why this basic concepts of signal and systems are important in communication engineering? Because we always transmit our information from transmitter to receiver through the channel. The channel behaves as a system. The channel will take from the transmitter in form of signal, process it, add some noise and some redundant signals, noise in fact, and passes through it, and hence the receiver will receive it. So, we must know what kind of signals we are transmitting and how the system, basically the channel, behaves during this process. So, these are basically the contents of today's lecture. So, we will give you the different kind of classification of signals, then we will go to the frequency domain analysis of a signal, then we will go and understand the types of system, different types of system also. So, a signal is something which is a function of some independent variable. We always write a signal, suppose mathematically y is equal to f of t, y is equal to f of t, where this time t is known as independent variable, and corresponding to this y is known as dependent variable. So, and this f is basically a mapping or some set of rules which defines the relationship between the time and the the independent variable and the dependent variable. So, why we are saying a signal is a single valued function. Single valued function means for different values of time, variable independent variable time, suppose t 1 and t 2, there may exist a single value of y. So, that is why we are saying a single valued function of one or more independent variable. We can take another example, y is equal to f of x comma y. This is a two dimensional function, because here we have taken the two independent variable x and y, and corresponding to two independent variable x and y, you have a value of y. So, a very good example of this two dimensional signal is a gray scale image. A gray scale image consists of a frame having different number of pixels. So, these pixels basically are denoted by some coordinates. So, coordinates are suppose given by x 1 y 1, x 2 y 2, and so on. So, for each pixel values, this f basically gives you the intensity label. So, for each pixel value, our eyes will receive different intensity labels. Okay, fine. Signal basically carries the information. Signal carries information from one place to another place. So, information is something which have a probability. So, suppose if we transmit a message and the message have a probability of 0, then we say that this message contains full information. It is consists of full information. If it has a probability of 1, then it does not contain any kind of information, and if the probability is between 0 to 1, so the message have some garbage value and some information. So, in daily life there are number of examples of the signals, for example, voltage and current, which varies, whose amplitude varies with respect to time. Then my speech signal, whatever I am giving the information in form of acoustic or sound wave, it is also a kind of information which is varying with respect to time. Then the video signal. So, I have given you example of an image, this is a frame basically, or image, one frame. A video signal consists of number of frames one by one. So, a video signal, if you take the grayscale video, a black and white video, so it consists of 3 independent variable x, y, t, time. So, the time will, as the time increases, the frame will passes on. So, these are the example of signals. Noise is also a kind of signal, but it is a random kind of signal. So, in daily uses we always define 2 types of signal. Signals are always 2 types. One is a continuous time signal and another is discrete time signal. So, a continuous time signal are function of independent variable as a time. A signal is said to be a continuous time signal if it has a value for each and every value of time in a given interval. Similarly, in discrete time signal, the time is defined in discrete manner. So, you can see the example. This is an example of a continuous time signal. For each value of time, we have a particular value of amplitude or strength. So, suppose if I take a time t 1 here, so corresponding to time t 1, I have a particular value of the amplitude. So, in this way, for different value of the time, I will have different kind of amplitude. So, if this time axis, generally it is known as domain. So, we are basically mapping from domain to codomain. So, domain to codomain means you have a domain consists of time t 1, t 2 and so on, and you have a codomain, and you have to, and this codomain is consist of y 1, y 2 and so on. So, for each and every value of time t, there exists a single valued function, single value. Suppose for time t 2, I have a value of y 1, I can map this t 2 with respect to y 1. It is possible that for t 1 and t 2, I can map to same value of y 1. So, this time t 1 is continuous. So, that is why the signal is said to be continuous time. So, if I take this time not continuous, for example, I take t is equal to 0, t is equal to 1, 0, t is equal to 1, 2, 3, minus 1, minus 2 and so on. So, I have taken the time in form of discrete nature. So, for n is equal to 1 in discrete sequence or in discrete signal, we always represent the time t by the index number n. So, for n is equal to 1, time index n is equal to 1, I have this value. For n is equal to 2, I have another value, and so on. So, a continuous time signal is signal in which the time is continuous, while a discrete time of signal is signal in which the time is discrete in nature. Similarly, I can define the analog and digital signal also. So, if a continuous time signal, analog signal is always a continuous time signal. If a continuous time signal x t can take on any value, or its value is in on y axis is any value between minus infinity to plus infinity, then it is known as analog signal. You can see example here. If you see this first figure A, and this is one of the example of analog continuous time signal. Why I am saying time continuous time? Because for each and every value of time, there exists a unique value of amplitude. So, that is why it is a continuous time signal. Why this is analog? Because the amplitude can take in this interval, the amplitude can take any value. So, you can say the amplitude are varying between this interval, but their number are infinite for infinite values of different time. So, this is basically an example of analog continuous time signal. So, if you see the figure number B, the figure number B is not analog, because although it is a continuous time signal, because for each and every value of time there exist two values, either this value or this value. Suppose this is plus V volt and this is minus V volt. So, this continuous time signal, why I am saying this is a continuous time signal? Because for each and every value of time there exists a unique value on y axis. The value on y axis will be either plus V volt or minus V volt. So, since the amplitude will be only two values, plus V volt or minus V volt. So, that is why this signal is not analog signal, although it is a continuous time signal. This is not an analog signal, but it can be digital signal, because in digital signal, in digital format, we always transmit either 1 or 0. So, you can represent the 1 by plus V volt and 0 by minus V volt. So, that is why this is a digital continuous time signal. Figure number C shows that this signal is analog discrete time signal. So, why this is discrete signal, discrete time signal? Because you are taking the discrete time on t axis. And why this is analog? Because again in this range, these values are analog values. These values are analog values, means suppose if I take this point, this sample value. So, this value may be 6.125 volt. This value, next value will be 6.235 volt. So, these values are analog in nature. So, that is why this signal is analog discrete time signal. The last figure basically represent the digital discrete time signal. Discrete time signal is obvious because the time axis is discretized. So, this is n is equal to 0, n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, minus 1, minus 2 and so on. So, on time axis you have discretized the time. Also on y axis the value of this signal is varying between two values. Suppose this is plus 1 volt and this is minus 1 volt. So, both the time axis and the amplitude axis basically are discretized. So, that is why it is known as digital discrete time signal. So, periodic and non periodic signal. So, periodic signal are the signal which repeats themselves with a fixed time interval, and they follow this property. If x t is a periodic signal, then this x t must be equal to x t plus m times capital T, where m is an integer value, positive integer value, and t is any value. It may be small t, may be any value, it may be negative, it may be positive, and capital T is given by the period of the periodic signal. The smallest value of m gives you the smallest value of t, and it is designated as T naught. So, T naught is basically the fundamental period, and the fundamental period is given by 2 pi upon omega naught, where omega naught is angular frequency. Similarly, we can define the discrete time periodic signal also in the same manner. X n is equal to x n plus m into n, where n naught is given as fundamental period of the discrete time periodic signal. If any signal does not follow these property, these characteristics, so they are said to be non periodic signal. In communication system, as I told you earlier, the signal are either deterministic or random signal. So, deterministic signals are those signal which can be represented by some mathematical equations. For example, any sinusoidal signal a cos omega t, where a is the amplitude of the cosine signal, is always a deterministic signal. You can determine the value of the signal at any instant of time. On the other hand, noise in communication system is always known as a random signal, because you cannot predict its value after a period of time. So, we have taken example. So, sin 3 t is basically a deterministic signal, because it has a mathematical formulation. At any value of time t, you can easily find the value of sin 3 t. So, noise is an example of random signal. There are different kind of noises: thermal noise, short noise, Johnson noise, flicker noise. So, these kind of noises are a random signal. So, we always want that in communication random signal must be low as much as possible, so that signal to noise ratio at the receiver must be high. Another type of signal is even and odd signal. Any signal is even signal if it follows this property: x of t is equal to x of minus t. So, it means if a signal is an even signal, so this property must be followed. You can take an example of a cosine signal. A cosine signal in time domain can be represented in this manner. Its range is between plus a to minus a. So, this is a cos omega t. So, this signal is an even signal, because it is symmetrical with respect to y axis. You can see this signal is cosine signal is an even signal, because it is symmetrical with respect to y axis, amplitude axis. So, this basically gives you this equation x t is equal to x of minus t, gives you a symmetricity. If any signal have symmetricity with respect to y axis, with respect to this axis t is equal to 0 axis, y axis. So, this is known as even signal, otherwise it is known as odd signal. In discrete case, you can also take an example. Suppose this is an discrete signal. So, at t is equal to 1, this is 0, this is minus 1, So, at these point these two values are same. Suppose this is 1. So, this signal is symmetrical with this y axis and this signal is a even signal. An odd signal is something which basically shows you antisymmetric property. So, antisymmetric property means x of minus t must be equal to minus of x t. So, you can take an example of sinusoidal signal, sine signal in fact, which starts from 0 and shows antisymmetry dot dot dot. So, you can see there is a antisymmetricity in this signal. So, this signal is basically an odd signal. So, if I change in this even signal the value at minus 1 to this value, if this is plus 1 and this is minus 1. So, this signal gives you the antisymmetry property. So, this is an odd signal. So, causal and anti-causal signal. So, any signal which exists for x t is greater x t, any signal exists x t for t is greater than 0 or equal to 0 also, then it is known as causal signal. You can see here this is a causal signal because this signal exists for t is greater than or equal to 0, while for t is less than 0 it is 0, x t is 0. So, x t is or f t is having some finite value for t is equal to greater than or equal to 0, otherwise 0 for t is less than 0. So, this is causal signal. Anti-causal signal is something which have the value whose value is finite for t is less than 0. You can see here for t is less than 0 the signal have some value, but for t is greater than 0 the signal value is 0. And if the signal have both the positive as well as negative value, for if the signal exists for both the t is greater than 0 for positive value of t as well as negative value of t, then signal is said to be non causal. In practical life all the signal are basically causal signals. Next classification of signal is energy and power signal. So, a signal is said to be power signal or a sequence is said to be a power signal if its energy is finite and its power is 0. So, we know how we can calculate the energy of a signal by using Parshall's theorem. So, if you want to calculate the energy of a signal in time domain, in continuous time domain, so you have to integrate it dt, or in frequency domain the same thing is 1 upon 2 pi x of omega d square x of omega square d omega, where x omega is the Fourier transform of x t. So, if you know the Fourier transform of x t which is x omega, then by using this Parshall's theorem you can easily get the energy of a signal, and you can also get the power of any kind of signal for a, if we integrate this for a time period, given time period t. Similarly, a signal is said to be a power signal if its power is finite and energy is infinite. So, a signal cannot be simultaneously energy signal and power signal. So, either it may be energy signal or it may be power signal, it cannot be both power as well as energy signal. So, generally we can analyze the signal in time domain but sometimes it is easier to study a time domain signal in frequency domain. So, that is why we will use, or the engineers use frequency domain analysis to study the characteristic of a signal. So, in this example I have shown a composite signal which consists of 3 frequency. One is a DC signal shown by a blue line with the amplitude of 15 volt. Second and third signal are a sinusoidal signal. The first sinusoidal signal is shown by the pink color, whose frequency is 8 hertz. You can see here in the frequency domain, this composite signal is shown in time domain. So, there are 3 frequency components: DC component at f is equal to 0, first another frequency component 8 hertz, and the third component at 16 hertz. So, if you see this diagram is this composite signal in time domain. So, it looks somewhat like a noise. So, if any signal have number of frequency component, for example, my speech signal, then it cannot be easy to study it in frequency in time domain. So, it better to go for frequency domain. So, frequency domain can be analyzed in 2 way, by Fourier series method or Fourier transform method. Any composite signal consists of a DC component A naught and some sinusoidal components, sine and cosine components, where this A naught is DC component inside the signal, A n and B n is are the Fourier coefficient. Similarly, this Fourier series basically is used to analyze for periodic signal, while this Fourier transform is used to analyze a signal which is periodic or non periodic, and the signal must follow the Dirichlet condition. So, Fourier transform of any signal is given by x omega and can be calculated by this mathematical expression minus infinity to plus infinity integration x t e to the power minus j omega t into dt. Inverse you can also find it by using this method. So, there are 2 important properties of Fourier transform, convolution and modulation property. This convolution and modulation properties are used mostly in communication system. We will see it later on. And if you have a system, so system can be characterized by impulse response. The input of the system is x t and the output is y t. So, if we have the impulse response of the system, then we can easily find out the output of the system by using the convolution property. So, this sign is basically used for convolution. So, y t is equal to convolution of x t and s t, and mathematically it is given by integration from minus infinity to plus infinity x tau h t minus tau d tau, and our spectral density of the output can be given by this expression. The systems are of many types: LTI, LSI system. LTI system is known as linear time invariant system. Practically no communication system is LTI, linear time invariant system, or linear shift invariant system. Mostly they are non-linear time varying system. System is also known as memory or memoryless system. A system whose output depends on the present input as well as the previous input, then it is known as having some memory. Another system is stable system. A stable system is which one? Whose impulse response is given by s t, then this integration should be finite. Means if the input is bounded, x t is bounded, then output must also be bounded. Then only you can say that the system is a stable system. A causal system, a system is a causal system if its impulse response is 0 for t is less than 0. So, for t is greater than 0, its response is finite. So, students, these are the basics of signal length systems. You must go through it, and these are the references which you can follow for further study. Thank you for your patience and listening me.